Music is a powerful thing. It can move you to tears, make you feel inspired, or in the case of the Sonic drowning music, scar you for life. No, my sweet Sonic, get him some air! Take my air! And nowhere is music's power more evident than in video games, where dramatic scores provide the backing to your epic struggles and famous themes become synonymous with entire decades-long series. And if a game is smart, it'll use this immense power in the most brilliant way possible, by deploying its very own iconic theme right at the most difficult or desperate part of the game, delivering you the immense IRL stats boosts that you need to get through, because damn it, you are so freaking inspired right now! Here are 7 times the theme music kicked in right when you needed it. Beware spoilers for the following games.
The Monster Hunter games have as many great pieces of music as they have menus, that is to say a completely overwhelming number. But none is so closely linked to this monster massacring series as the theme called Proof of a Hero, first heard right in the very opening of the very first game all the way back in 2004 in the PS2 era. Proof of a Hero's blazing horn fanfare and orchestral oomph absolutely nails the vibe of the series. Bombastic over-the-top action mixed with the constant real fear of having an hour's monster hunting ruined by one bad dodge. To be fair, that did look pretty hard to dodge. Proof of a Hero can be heard throughout the Monster Hunter series, usually kicking in when things are at their most exciting and terrifying. But its tactical deployment in Monster Hunter Rise, the most recent Monster Hunter game, is a particularly enjoyable one because it comes late into the final quest. A desperate mission to slay both Wind Serpent Ibushi and Nawa the All-Mother, 2 titanic sky beasts that will mess you up with zero hesitation. The battle is a real gauntlet that, as you'd expect from the game's epic finale, will test everything you've learned so far. Be it judging when to attack and when to retreat, smart item management, or knowing how to make sense of a screen that contains this much wild shit popping off all at once. I think the big dragon got hurt? But I can't be sure. Nawa's screen-filling attacks are as devastating as they are relentless, and the fight for the most part is soundtracked to an eerie orchestral chant, which emphasises the otherworldly nature of the foe you're facing and its immense power. An immense power that only gets immenser when Nawa enters its brutal final phase. Attacks are faster and harder to escape, but suddenly none of that matters because in a moment of musical genius, what's that familiar theme? That's right, it's Proof of a Bloody Hero, kicking in right when things are at their most difficult and intense to inspire you in your moment of need. For anyone familiar with the series and this famous theme, hearing this tune applies an IRL buff equivalent to roughly 50 feline-prepared stat-boosting meals, and is a timely reminder that the game is called Monster Hunter, not Monster Hide From Timidly. Time to tame some nature! Needless to say, with Proof of a Hero thundering in the background, Nawa's fate is sealed. The final boss is defeated, its body parts are harvested, and the only thing left to do is wish you'd taken off that stupid helmet before the ending cutscene. 3 hours in Character Creator. Wasted.
Halo. It's so new, unfinished. I'm not exactly sure what will happen when we fire it.
We'll head for the portal, and we'll all go home.
You probably already know the Halo theme. It's the one that goes... Yeah, okay. Luke, can I... Luke! Yeah, that's the one. This extremely catchy piece, composed in 1999 by Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, is probably the most epic and exciting and recognisable bit of video game music to also begin with a Gregorian chant. Unsurprisingly, the Halo theme is heard fairly often in the Halo games, but never is it fired up to such an effect as in the very closing moments of Halo 3. In this final mission of the game, Master Chief is on a bid to activate a Halo with all the mates he's made along the way: Sergeant Avery Johnson, Cortana, the Arbiter, and 343 Guilty Spark, a caretaker robot who doesn't really seem to get the vibe because it starts lasering everyone in the face.
Unacceptable! Unacceptable! Absolutely unacceptable!
Maybe don't program the caretaker robot with a gigantic laser beam. What's that for? Stubborn stains? Cue a boss fight against the little Roomba that could, which, as you might imagine with the number of highly trained killers in the vicinity, doesn't last terribly long. Now, possibly you're thinking that was a little anticlimactic for the end of the game, but Halo 3 has a surprise up its sleeve: a drive off the exploding Halo with your best friend Arbiter, which might also seem a little unexciting until you hear some extremely recognisable drums. Flash forward 30 seconds and you're ramping a warthog off a bunch of exploding space infrastructure while your buddy unloads a minigun off the back and the Halo theme goes absolutely ham. It's an extremely cinematic experience, soundtracked in the best way, with the only possible fly in the ointment being that at some point you will probably break the mood by accidentally ramping your hog into the void, killing Master Chief while the Halo choir goes wild in the background. To quote that choir, ah!
Versus Xianghua. Her graceful sword dance cuts through enemies.
Here I come!
It's not immediately clear why Link from Zelda is in Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube. I mean, according to the game's story, Link has travelled to Soul Calibur Land because the evil influence of the Soul Edge Sword poses a magical threat to Hyrule, though that seems a tenuous reason to make Link have to leave behind the world he knows to come to a strange land where the locals all want to fight to the death or rip his groin in half. The best way to experience this story, such as it is to play Soul Calibur 2's arcade mode as Link, which sees the hero of time forced into battle against a long series of heavily armed Soul Calibur brawlers, fighting on unfamiliar turf with unfamiliar rules. Oh come on, there's no ring out in Hyrule. There is falling to your death though, so fair dues. Link is a very pure and good boy, and so it is highly unfair that he should have to spend any time at all in the company of these total weirdos, especially Voldo. I mean, good grief. And one of the most intense moments in this gauntlet is Link's so-called destined battle, which is a recurring thing right near the end of Soul Calibur arcade modes, where your character must fight their rival or sworn enemy, and in Link's case, that's Raphael.
Watch quietly and learn.
At first it seems this fight is going to be just another bad time for the multiverse travelling Link, but then as this tough battle gets underway... What's that I hear?
Battle 1. Fight!
Frick yeah, right when you most need it, in the most strange of locations, in entirely the wrong series, comes video gaming's most famous musical refrain. The science is still evolving, but the leading theory is that hearing the Zelda music when playing as Link in Soul Calibur increases blood flow to the combo and reflex centers of the brain for up to 25% increased ass-kicking ability.
You win!
Job done! Having finished the destined battle, Link's free to progress to the final boss and that evil Soul Edge sword, with the only remaining question being, why on earth was Raphael Link's rival or sworn enemy? Unless there's some law that states only one person per kingdom is allowed to have this exact haircut.
Versus Raphael.
Sounds like a sensible law, to be honest.
Let's face it, you're not going to be spending much time in Elden Ring on the title screen. Unless... God damn it! Okay, so you're actually going to be spending a lot of time in Elden Ring's menu. But easing the pain is the fact that the title theme that plays here absolutely slaps. Bloody hell, calm down, Elden Ring. This absolutely ludicrous orchestral banger might seem somewhat wasted on the game's menu screen, unless you prefer a choir and huge percussion section to soundtrack you adjusting camera sensitivity. But don't worry, because the Elden Ring theme comes back one single time in the game, and it is absolutely when you need it the most. At the moment when you've walked blindly into the arena of the final boss, watched as blonde hair turns a lurid red, and you realise it's time to fight this would-be repairer of the Elden Ring itself, Radagon of the Golden Order. Every boss theme in Elden Ring is epic in its own right, but dueling Radagon to the fanfare of the actual game's title theme, which after this many dozens of hours you will now know exceptionally well, is pretty special. Radagon may wield an extremely OP glowing hammer, but it's nothing compared to the raw power of a player who's been buffed up by the reappearance of this mighty bit of music. Music that says, try as he might, Radagon's destiny is to fall helplessly to your blade. Okay, look, music can only get you so far, okay? Real talk, odds are Radagon is going to kick your ass several times, but let's face it, there's no better music to die over and over to. In fact, we'd go so far as to say the stupendous musical choice for this fight is the only thing that makes it okay that you'll spend a lot of it being fatally smashed halfway across the map with a massive hammer. It's almost a shame to beat Radagon, not just because the good music stops, but also because now you have to fight a big amoeba who is the actual final boss, for plot reasons we will never understand. I'll take one of those disconnects now.
Few vampire hunters are as famous as Simon Belmont. Maybe Van Helsing? But I think he wears trousers, so that's always going to give you an edge. Questionable fashion choices aside, it's hard to fault Belmont's dedication to the craft. He and his massive thighs have been hunting the undead since the very first Castlevania game in the 80s, and in plenty of sequels too. So it's not surprising he's earned himself an absolute belter of a theme, prosaically named Theme of Simon Belmont, first heard in Super Castlevania 4 for the Super NES, where it soundtracks your first foray into Dracula's castle. Of course, like any good video game music, in the years since, Simon's tune has showed up many more times, part of the pantheon of memorable and frequently revisited Castlevania themes that includes Vampire Killer and Bloody Tears. Okay, Theme of Simon Belmont is starting to feel like a fairly uncool name in comparison. Simon's theme may have popped up many times, but has never been deployed with more tactical precision than in that first game it appears in, Super Castlevania 4, because as well as soundtracking the start of the game, it shows up at the very end too, while you're having your butt kicked by final boss Dracula. Dracula's attacks require precision dodging and leave you with barely any room to strike back with your whip, a difficult match that starts off soundtracked to an appropriately gloomy, pulsing synth piece. It's music to be haunted by on-fire faces too. When Dracula takes enough damage, an equally aggressive Phase 2 begins. But who cares, because what's also beginning is, hell yes, Simon Belmont's belter of a theme. Dracula can summon as much lightning as he likes, but at this point, obviously, his fate is sealed, because your protagonist's epic theme is flooding you with can-do attitude. And that's Dracula done, friend. The only problem is, when Dracula stops, so does the music. At which point it's time to whack on the extremely extra version of Belmont's theme they put in Smash Brothers, obviously. Does this sound like the theme of a man who needs to be wearing trousers? No.
Any Skyrim player knows the scene all too well. You're having a lovely time, exploring the open world, picking on anything smaller and weaker than you, and then you notice the shadow. Damn, that mudcrab has powerful friends. Uh-oh, it's time for one of Skyrim's random dragon fights, the points at which the game significantly ups the intensity by making you fight a flying death lizard so massive the ground shakes when it drops down out of the sky to bite your legs and arms off. Skyrim being a Bethesda game, you can't really count on any particular music to definitely play when one of these winged death dealers rocks up unannounced. But sometimes, if you're extremely lucky, the game will decide to tip the odds in your favour by busting out a piece known on the soundtrack as One They Fear, but that you and I know simply as, you know, the Skyrim music. I just realised that dragon is going to die. Because now, friend, you're fighting as a fully pumped up Dragonborn, inspired by this battle-ready mix of the game's famous and famously stirring main theme. While fighting a dragon in Skyrim under normal circumstances can be a lengthy and anxious affair, doing so to One They Fear hits very different. There is simply no better way to feel like the Dragonborn of legend than to have this music pumping out your headphones while you watch a dragon come crashing out of the sky, then sprint up to wallop its big scaly face for a finishing blow. Well, that was epic. Now finally we can get back to killing Skyrim's more manageable wildlife. Weird that the music didn't start then. Must be a glitch.
Like any good musical, Undertale is constantly reframing its own harmonic themes and motifs.
Wait, Undertale isn't a musical?
Not without your investment, it isn't. My Kickstarter is going live very soon. In a game packed full of very strong music, it's hard to identify one piece that could count as Undertale's theme, so to speak. But a good shout would be the piece called Once Upon a Time, which plays right at the start of the game, under the cutscene that gives you backstory to the underground world of monsters that the game is set in. Fast forward through the game's pacifist route, where you show kindness and mercy to every monster you encounter, and you'll eventually get to the game's final boss. A dickhead flower who's got all your friends captive. Trust me, it makes sense if you played the game. Well, it makes more sense if you played the game. The flower makes it clear your struggle is completely useless and eats everybody's souls, before revealing its true form, Asriel Dreamer, a goat boy who is the adoptive brother of the first human to fall into the underground, the human from that very first cutscene. It seems like all is lost when a familiar melody kicks in, but now rearranged to be 1,000,000 times more inspiring. Sorry, did we say 1,000,000 times? We meant 1,000,000,000 times! Called Hopes and Dreams, this bit of music isn't just a fabulous reimagining of the earlier theme, it's basically the only thing in the game happening right now to suggest this very difficult fight isn't as hopeless as it feels. The way to win is to reach out to your friend's souls inside Asriel, and thereby rekindle a connection to him, reminding him of those childhood scenes which are where this melody first played. Now defeated, Hopes and Dreams plays backwards as Asriel lets everyone go. An emotional scene, largely thanks to the brilliant redeployment of the Once Upon a Time music from the start of the game, and one that you have to agree would really sing on stage. So why not take a look at my backers' rewards and help make Undertale the musical happen? For $1,000 you can understudy me. I will be playing Papyrus, that is non-negotiable.
Da-na-na-na, 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 come on!
Oh, right, sorry.
Na-na-na, Halo! Na-na-na-na. Okay, well, I was hoping for a stirring moment for the outro. No, no, we do love Billy Joel here, let's make that very clear. Why should I worry? Why should I care? Well, you should be watching these videos. That's why I worry and care, because I want you to be enjoying yourself on the internet. And here are some lovely ways for you to do that. And if you would like to support us, you can hit that subscribe button to always watch our videos in future. And maybe even join our Patreon if you would like to. We've got a Discord, you can come ask us questions and things like what's our favourite rockin' theme tune. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. See you next time. Da-na-na-na, na-na-na-na.
Working too hard to give you a heart attack.